Charles II of England, was born on the 29th of May in the year 1630 at St. James's Palace in Westminster, England. What kind of childhood shapes a future king who would one day lose his throne before ever ruling it? How does a boy raised in royal halls learn to survive in a world turned against him? The early years of Charles's life hold the first clues to a story filled with rebellion, loyalty, and fate. Charles was the eldest surviving son of Charles I, the ruling king, and Henrietta Maria of France, who came from the royal house of her brother, King Louis XIII. From birth, Charles was surrounded by ceremonies, formal lessons, and expectations. He was given titles such as Duke of Cornwall and Duke of Rothesay, marking him as heir to the throne. His early education was guided by tutors who introduced him to language, etiquette, religion, and statecraft. Even as a child, he watched his father struggle against growing tension between the crown and parliament. These political disputes slowly darkened what should have been a peaceful royal childhood. In 1642, when Charles was still young, the conflict in the kingdom erupted into what became known as the English Civil War. Instead of learning how to rule from the comfort of the palace, Charles learned about danger, uncertainty, and the fragility of power. This was the beginning of a journey that would test everything he had been raised to become. The English Civil War continued to spread across the kingdom, dividing families, towns, and armies. Charles's father, Charles I, led the royalist side, while Parliament's forces pushed against the authority of the crown. Young Charles grew up during these years not as a peaceful prince, but as a witness to battle, strategy, and loss. He saw royal power weaken and trusted allies fall one by one. By the year 1646, royalist strongholds began collapsing. To keep him safe, Charles was moved from place to place, traveling through the Isles of Scilly, then to Jersey, and later to France, where his mother was already living. France became his first true home in exile, but safety did not erase the pain of defeat. In January of 1649, the war reached its most tragic moment. His father was executed after being captured. The monarchy fell, and England became a republic under Oliver Cromwell. Even after this loss, Charles did not give up. He traveled to the Netherlands and Scotland, seeking support to reclaim the throne. Scotland accepted him, but only under strict religious conditions. Though crowned King of Scotland in 1751, his army was defeated later that same year at the Battle of Worcester. With enemies closing in, Charles made a desperate escape, moving in disguise and hiding in safe houses, even climbing into an oak tree to avoid capture. This long period of uncertainty tested him deeply, shaping his courage, patience, and belief that one day he might return home. After years of exile, Charles continued to watch events unfold in England from across the sea. Oliver Cromwell ruled the land with strict control, but after his death in 1658, the government began to weaken. His son could not hold power, and unrest spread among both military leaders and the people. Many had grown tired of political struggle and longed for stability. Slowly, the idea of restoring the monarchy returned to public discussion. In 1660, a key figure named George Monk marched his army into London and encouraged Parliament to invite Charles back as king. Charles responded with the Declaration of Breda, promising fairness, forgiveness, and cooperation if he were restored to the throne. His message gave hope to many, including those who feared punishment for their past loyalties. On the 29th of May in 1660, Charles returned to London on his 30th birthday. Crowds filled the streets, cheering with joy. After years of war and uncertainty, the people welcomed him not just as a ruler, but as a symbol of peace and normal life returning. Soon after, he was crowned King of England, Scotland, and Ireland. With the Restoration, the royal court reopened, theatres came alive again, and public celebrations returned. Yet the challenges of ruling a divided kingdom remained. Charles now had to balance tradition with new expectations, religious tensions with political demands, and his own desires with the responsibilities of the crown. Once restored to the throne, Charles faced the difficult task of ruling a kingdom still divided by the memories of war. Religion was one of the greatest challenges. Parliament wished to strengthen the Church of England, while many citizens desired freedom to worship in different ways. To keep peace, Charles often allowed certain freedoms privately, but Parliament pushed for stricter control. This tension created ongoing debate and suspicion throughout his reign. Foreign affairs also tested his leadership. England entered conflicts with the Dutch, leading to the Second and Third Dutch Wars. At times, the seas were filled with battles for trade, territory, and influence. Charles supported naval expansion and invested in the building of stronger ships, hoping to secure England's place as a powerful maritime nation. Alongside this, alliances shifted. Charles formed agreements with King Louis XIV of France, including secret arrangements that promised support and financial aid. These choices often raised questions about where his loyalty truly stood. During these years, everyday life in England also changed. The Great Plague of 1665 and the Great Fire of London in 1666 brought destruction and hardship. Yet from these tragedies came opportunities to rebuild the city, restore trade, and renew culture. Charles encouraged the arts, science, and theatre, helping London grow into a lively cultural centre once more. Though admired by many for his charm and ease, Charles continued to walk a delicate path between powerful forces both at home and abroad. Life at the court of Charles II became famous for its colour, energy, and elegance. After years of strict rule under the earlier government, society was eager for music, theatre, art, and celebration. Charles welcomed these changes. He reopened playhouses, encouraged playwrights, and even allowed women to act on stage for the first time in English history. His court attracted poets, painters, scientists, and architects, helping shape a cultural revival that continues to be remembered as the Restoration era. Charles also supported learning and scientific discovery. He granted a charter to the Royal Society, a group devoted to studying the natural world and developing new ideas. Figures like Robert Boyle and Robert Hooke worked during his reign, pushing forward experiments that influenced science for generations. Charles himself enjoyed conversation about astronomy, navigation, and inventions, often spending time discussing new knowledge with scholars. His personal relationships were also widely known and sometimes controversial. Charles married Catherine of Braganza, a princess from Portugal, whose dowry helped strengthen England's trade and political ties. Though their marriage did not produce surviving children, Catherine remained by his side as queen. Charles also had several companions at court who were admired for their beauty and charm, and some of them bore him sons and daughters who later became part of English high society. These relationships were often the subject of public gossip, adding to his image as a king of warmth, laughter, and ease. Despite the joy and elegance of his court, Charles still carried the weight of responsibility, knowing the stability of the kingdom depended on his choices each day. In his later years, Charles faced rising tension in the kingdom once again. His brother James, who followed the Catholic faith, was next in line for the throne. Many feared what a change in religion at the highest level might mean. Debates grew louder in Parliament and across the country. Some pushed to remove James from the succession, while others argued that loyalty to the royal family must remain. Charles, who understood how easily a kingdom could fall into disorder, worked to keep peace and prevent a return to the violence of the civil war he had once lived through. As time passed, age and illness began to weigh on him. Though he continued to hold meetings, guide decisions, and support science and culture, his health slowly declined. On the 2nd day of February in the year 1685, Charles suffered a sudden and severe illness at Whitehall Palace in Westminster, England. Despite the efforts of his physicians, his condition worsened over the next 4 days. On the 6th of February in 1685, at Whitehall Palace in Westminster, he passed away, leaving behind a court that had once been filled with music, laughter, and light. Charles II was laid to rest in Westminster Abbey. His reign is remembered for restoring the monarchy, supporting culture and science, and guiding England through a difficult return to stability. His legacy continues in the arts, in the rebuilding of London, and in the lasting influence of the Royal Society. His story remains one of resilience, charm, and the enduring struggle to balance power with peace. Thanks for watching.